Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Siu.
Okay, everyone, it's time for another episode of Marketing School, and I hope you're ready. I'm your host, Eric Siu.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about the importance of being a T-shaped marketer. So what the heck is a T-shaped marketer? Well, to make it simple to understand, there's specialists and then there are T-shaped marketers, or you can call them growth hackers. And these are the people that understand the different disciplines of digital marketing, right? So it can be they understand the concepts around email marketing, pay-per-click, marketing funnels across the board, but they do specialize in one area. So let's say you understand in general these other subjects and you specialize in one area. The middle area that you specialize in, that's what creates this T-shape. So that's why it's called a T-shaped marketer in the first place. So if I know all these other subjects and I specialize in SEO, I can be considered a T-shaped marketer. Now, versus a specialist just really understands one area and might understand a little bit about the other ones, but not too much. So you want someone that's a T-shaped marketer because they bring a lot more benefit to the table. Now, I think there's some anecdotes we can share around this. Neil, why don't you go ahead and start first? I mean, have you found any benefits around having a T-shaped marketer versus a specialist?
See, I've seen both, and you have too because you've consulted a lot. If you're a really large corporation like a Microsoft and you have tons of divisions and layers and you have like 100,000 people, by all means, if you want to hire some specialists, you can go for it. But most people aren't that size, right? We don't have companies that are worth $400 or $500 billion. If that's the case, and especially if you're starting off, you need to look for T-shaped marketers, or ideally, if you're going to get into the marketing space, that's what you want to be. Because if you don't have a good understanding of a lot of different marketing concepts, especially online, when things are changing so fast, when one tactic doesn't work, you won't know how to leverage others. Or when with marketing, you have to do cross channels in which paid ads affects your landing pages. Your email marketing affects your conversions. It's actually vice versa. Your landing pages affect your paid ads, right? Your SEO affects your conversion optimization. Your SEO also affects your social media marketing and vice versa. So if you don't know how all these channels work, how they can be integrated together, you won't grow as fast.
That's correct. And I'll share some anecdotes here. I mean, I've been a part of organizations that have hundreds or sometimes thousands of people. And there were times when I first came aboard, when I started learning this marketing stuff about 6 or 7 years ago. And, I came in as an SEO specialist. And here's the thing. You're embedded in this one area and you're kind of put in this island. And that's just how it works. I mean, you're put into meetings and things like that, but you aren't really allowed to explore into other areas. I remember we were sitting in one meeting and I was sitting with the product team and I brought up the idea of A/B testing. And this is when the product guy stepped in and said, well, that's not really your role. And then you have a lot of politics to deal with when you're working with a big company. So when you're with a big company, I mean, it does make sense to have specialists because you have, you have bigger budgets, you have teams, and you want somebody to just focus in one area. Now, most, like Neil said, there's a lot of people listening to this are probably not at that size. Now, this reminds me of the day, of me going to my tech startup days. That was when I really had to make use of all the skills that I picked up versus, when I was hired as, not versus, but I should say when I was hired to lead a marketing team, I still had to roll up my sleeves to do a lot of the work. And it wasn't just, hey, you're just going to be there to manage a team. A lot of times when startups are hiring, these quote unquote VPs of marketing or marketing leaders, they have to also be able to execute as well. So I had to roll up my sleeves. I had to do the paid ads while, hiring other people and managing other people. And also I had to manage the editorial team and also the SEO portion too. So being a T-shaped marketer is going to help you, especially when you go to a startup, because you're going to be required to do a lot of different things. Now, when I say startup, this is from the context of people that are, you can be simply just starting out, or you can be, a startup that has raised, a couple rounds of funding, maybe your A, B, maybe even your C round as well. So that is something to pay attention to. I mean, Neil, you have any other thoughts around this?
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too, as a marketer, if you're a T-shaped marketer, your value is going to be much greater. When people are doing layoffs or when they're trying to figure out who to hire for a small company, they're going to look for someone like that versus a specialist due to the fact that the specialist can only do one thing, right? And they can only do one thing really well. And the shitty part about being a specialist is marketing changes, and it changes a lot. For example, affiliates back in the day used to make all their money purely from Google paid advertising. And paid advertising on Facebook is quite a bit different than Google AdWords. So if you're really good at Google AdWords, it doesn't mean you're going to be good at Facebook advertising. So if you only know Google AdWords and they change the way their algorithm works and what type of companies they're going to allow bidding, and or if it gets too expensive, you're shit out of luck. What could you do? You're pretty much going to be surpassed by everyone else. You need to be well-rounded.
And when you're a T-shaped marketer, it says a lot of things, right? It says this person's a learner. And that goes a long way in terms of getting a job versus somebody else that's specialized. I remember going back to that tech startup, I remember there were a couple people in the running there. And that the CEO said, well, it's a good thing that you're not a one-trick pony. And I certainly think that helped me propel forward versus the others. Now, I guess looking at T-shaped marketers in terms of how you can become a T-shaped marketer, well, if you listen to our episode around how you can become a better marketer, that's a great starting point. But you should understand all these other disciplines, and you can jump around too. Because here's the thing: if you're able to talk about all these other subjects, well, you're going to be able to contribute to all these other departments. Like what Neil said, like when these layoffs are happening, when these downsizings are happening, well, you're going to be able to jump into other areas and fit into another slot pretty easily. And I'll tell you one thing, from the podcast I've done, every single person at the end, every time I say, what can I help with? They're always looking for more well-rounded marketers. They don't just want specialists. They want either people that have done, worked at startups doing multiple things in marketing, not just one thing at a time.
When I look at the marketers who make the most money, they're typically not the specialists. Specialists do well from a 9-to-5 job. And yeah, don't get me wrong, you can make 6 figures as a specialist, but it's really rare that I've seen marketers who can only do one thing end up generating millions of dollars.
Yeah, how much do you see the best marketers making, the best T-shaped ones?
Some of these guys that I know that are T-shaped marketers are making and there's actually a lot of them. I was just at a conference called Affiliate World Europe, I believe was the name, and it was in Berlin. There was a ton of people in there who are probably making 150 to 300,000-400,000 a month in profit. And that's not bad for a 1 or 3-4 man operation.
Wow. Yeah. And, Neil brought up, the specialists that just focus on PPC. If that dries up, well, you're screwed, right? And I think about the people in the e-commerce space right now. I was at an e-commerce conference a couple months ago, and everybody was talking about Amazon. Well, if Amazon dries up, what's going to happen? So it's better to continue to learn and pay attention to your surroundings, or else you wait to the last minute, then you end up being screwed. So I think with that being said, we can cap off this episode. So we'll see you in the next version of Marketing School. See you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.